Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
All right, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. I'll just focus in on me. Don't you love when the camera decides to do what it likes? And I've got Ben, VK7BEN, in the studio as well. So evening, Ben.
Hello.
And a huge Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome to 2026 and our Wednesday Experimenters Group Night. And I'll start off. We wish to acknowledge the Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land upon which we're presenting tonight, and pay my respects to elders past and present, for they hold the memories, the knowledge, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. So now, for our first program for 2026, I've got a whole range of stuff. Some historic stuff, some hysteric stuff, some project stuff. So I'll go into that in a short while, and some interesting. I'll give you a bit of a taster. That's all. Now, the hint I'll give you about that is, most people would use one of those pretty much every day. And it's a valve. So, where I want to start off with is, we have, back middle of the year, I think it was, we did a little project, a club project. About 20 people or so built the Arduino Digital Modes HF QRP transceiver. So this is a digital modes only. You can see it's got Whisper, JS8, FT4 and FT8. Whole bunch of frequencies originally from 80, 30, 17, 40, 20, 15 and 10. And using those digital modes. It's about 2 watts output. It is all run by an Arduino Nano, which is sitting in here, and there's the USB-C hub. You connect up your sound card, your speaker and your microphone through here off to your transceiver, your computer that's running WSJTX, and you have every time you change the frequency, you've got these little low pass filters. There's a whole lot of little capacitors on here, little surface mount capacitors which you can hardly see, on the back, and then there are some inductors on the front. This is obviously the 20-meter one, and we've got one for each of the bands that are covered. Now, I think it was October or November, Richard, who is VK2 ARH, who is the wonderful man who took this from Barb, who was, there we go, I thought it was on here, WB2CBA, who was the original designer of this at the Cowtow Amateur Radio Club in Texas. Took this design and bought it, first of all it was built at Cowtow, and then it was brought to across to Australia, and the Manly Warringah Radio Society had a club project of building it. And then Reast, and you can see up here, Richard's even put our logo up here on the top, on the silk screen of the PCB. And so we ended up building it. Now, about 2 months ago, Richard posted, and he's got, I'll put in the video link, the links to his YouTube channel, and also links to his GitHub. And he posted a video all about making the ADX compatible on 160 meters. And so there are two things you have to do, and I'll go through some of the documentation that he's posted. But so this is the low pass filter, and you'll notice this is L3, or this one here, that's the standard 20 turns. L1 has about 31 turns on it, so it's actually once round the toroid inductor, the toroid core, and then you keep going around again. There's about 31 turns on there, and then there's about 21 turns on L2, and you've got to change, and you'll notice my crappy soldering here. You've got to change a whole lot of the values of the capacitors on the back, and you'll notice that these are incredibly small, and I did have a few flick off and never to be found again, so so it pays to get a few spares. This is a previous 80-meter one, so I had to take all the capacitors off, replace the capacitors with the values, wind these inductors, and we end up with a 160-meter low pass filter. So the low pass filter plugs in here. There's a little dual inline 4-pin socket on one side and dual inline on the other. So that plugs in there. Now the other thing you have to do is you need to put new firmware on the Arduino. So you go to the Arduino Integrated Development Environment, the IDE, and you download from Richard's GitHub site the firmware for the Arduino. Now, I had a brand spanking new install of the IDE because I hadn't used it on the particular computer. Now, when you go to compile and download, there are a few libraries that you have to incorporate. And I had a bit of trouble because the way that the frequency generation is done in here, and I don't know whether you can see it. Yeah, maybe. Have I got a... Oh, that'll do. You'll notice there is a little board here, little daughter board. This is an SI 5351, which is a digital synthesis board, fairly standard Adafruit digital synthesis board. This is where all of the frequency synthesis comes from for the ADX. So the library that it will complain about is the SI 5351. Now you have to go and look because there are multiple libraries out there. Adafruit ones, there are specific ones, but I will post in the video description the one that Richard actually used. So you use the manage library function in the Arduino IDE, load that, and Bob's your uncle. You can then compile and download to the ADX. Now, what that gives you, and I'll just go to here because I'll actually plug in. Now you'll notice that just, if I do this, you'll notice this is how you set the frequency, and it goes through the single, so that's the 40, 20, 15 and 10, and then it goes through 2, which is 80. This is the 30 with 2, and then you go 17. Now if you push it again, it goes 3. Now it didn't used to do that, and 3, you'll see here, I've put a little label on here, is 160 meters. Once you've set that to 160 meters, you can push the TX button, flashes a couple of times, and it then is the mode that you want to put the transceiver in. In this particular case, it's in whisper mode. I can keep going, JS8, FT8. Now, here we go. You'll notice, this is something Richard points out. Whisper is fine, JS8 is fine. If I push it again, it should be going to FT4. There isn't an FT4 frequency on 160 meters. So it jumps and you push it again and it goes to FT8. So that's just a little trap for young players. So you've set it, it is 160 meters and it's whisper, and I've been running this for about the last week on whisper, and getting some good results all around New Zealand. VK4, VK5, VK2, VK3 on 160 meters. So ADX. Now, the thing I was going to show you is Richard's updated the documentation as well. So bless his cotton socks, has updated the documentation, and you'll notice the highlighted one is the 160 meter low pass filter module. You'll notice that now it's 510 plus 510 here, which is I put in 1,000 picofarad, 3300 puff, which I had, another 3300 puff, and then another 1000 puff, and then a 3300 puff. So you're looking at 3 3300s and 2 1000s. You see here, this is L1, 33 turns, 21 turns and 20 turns for L3. Now 20 turns is the same for all of them. It's L2 and L1 that change, but you'll notice 33 turns, 21 turns. It's the most, obviously, lowest band, most turns. So that's the little low pass filter, and you can see that's L3 at 20, L1 at 33, and then L2 at 21. So that's the low pass filter. So works a treat. I get over 2 watts out. When I tested it, I wrote it down. 2.2 watts, and it's drawing about 360 milliamps with the power pack running at about 11 volts. So I'm very happy with that. The only thing I haven't done is actually put it on the spectrum analyzer to see whether that low pass filter is actually doing its job properly. But I will, in the fullness of time, I will get to that. So there you go. Now, let me dive into my box of tricks here. So, there's a nasty flare there. Oh, there we go. Now, AR magazine. I've been meaning to get to this. I was hoping to get to this at the end of last year, but I didn't quite get there. So this is number 93, number 6. The theme that Roger Harrison has put together for it is outdoor, onshore, and on-the-air radio direction finding thrills. And you can see this is a radio direction finding lady from Germany. She's got the German, and she's got a 80 metre, if we get that flare, oh, there we go, 80 metre loop up here. And her map and compass and etc in the other hand. So she's flying through the end there. So this is the theme of this particular magazine, is all about outdoors, ARDF, and now one of the key things here, if you've been listening to the WIA broadcast at all, you will know that there has been a consultation on the Australian band plans, and Grant Willis and the Technical Advisory Committee has been doing a fantastic job, and this is all about a major review, have your say. So this is getting everybody to have their say. Now, Mars, a no-go on air for Australian amateurs. So Mars is the Military Amateur Radio Society. Military Auxiliary Radio System. So this is what the US Department of Defense get amateurs to do, and they are actually able to, if they're Mars accredited operators, they can actually operate on slightly different frequencies to very similar in 20, 30 and 40 metres. Very similar, but absolute no-go for us, obviously. Now, I just wanted to point out there's a fairly significant silent key notice in here, which is a farewell to whale legend Joe Harris, OAM, VK2KAA. Produced by Carmel VK2NO from Alara. Serious DXer. Very involved with the Fisk Marconi anniversaries each year. The Manly Warringah Radio Society, so the ADX Society. Now, WIA election of directors, and the call for nominations. Now, you may have heard on the weekend my name mentioned around as one of the people who have nominated to become a director. Now, I'm not sure whether I'll get enough votes, but you never know your luck in a big city. So if you're otherwise thinking about who to vote for, then my name is an option for you. How's that for electioneering without electioneering? Now, ARDF. So, the World ARDF is held every year. There is a fairly strong Australian contingent that goes across there, led by Jack, VK3 Whiskey. See you, Ben. And it was last year was held in Lithuania. So everybody converged on Lithuania. You can see this is all the countries. Opening ceremony with a flag of each team grouped around the podium. Now let me pick out. There's Jack there with his Australian. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 countries that participated in the Amateur Radio Direction Finding Championships. Absolutely fantastic. You can see this is mapping is an essential activity. Here's Jack Bramham, VK3 Whiskey with his Australian and his 80 metre ARDF receiver. Absolutely fantastic. Now, salutary tale of a club's remote HF station. So this is the Brisbane, the Bayside District Amateur Radio Society, or BDARS. Now, BDARS helped us out a little while ago with the electromagnetic radiation. They have done a whole lot in the EMR space, and they shared they shared their work with us a little while ago. So, but this is all about their club's HF remote station. And can I just say, it's a pretty impressive remote station on HF. This is the self-supporting 12-metre steel mast at one end of the HF dipole. Some of the equipment that is based inside the remote hut, they use flex, so very nice flex systems. Flex 6400 is almost hidden on the right, but it talks about how they funded it, how they set it up, how they networked it, how they built it, and how they then offer it to clubs. Now, Greg Mew, VK4GRM, went to Friedrichshafen in Germany, which is the Deutsche Amateur Radio Club's big Hamfest. So Dayton in May, Tokyo Hamfest in August, and then Friedrichshafen in Germany in June. So this is all about what he saw at Friedrichshafen. Some of these, if you're into keys, lots of old keys, lots of old radios, a few nostalgic keys there. There was even a Enigma machine that was on display. Okay. Now, Ultra Marathon. WOGA ARC, so Amateur Radio Club, and the Hume Hovell Ultra Marathon, a successful collaboration. So this Ultra Marathon is 22, 50, 100 and 100 mile event. And it's grown to 300 entries, and the WOGA Amateur Radio Club is the providers of safety communications on this ultra marathon. You can see this is some of the headquarters station ready to go. Granite Checkpoint 1 with its VHF, HF and VHF Go box. The Pines set up, cold and frosty at this checkpoint. The portable crossband repeater at Bundong Falls, set up here. Little stand with the mast and the antenna on top of it. All the people who were involved, many people. So yeah, the tent set up, the headquarters. VK2 ADF's mobile arrangement, very nice out the back of the ute. So yeah, absolutely fantastic, and getting up very similar to our equine endurance events. Now just check. We have. Hello, Andy, from the UK. We've got John Hall, VK7JDH. Hello, John, and Happy New Year to everybody as well. Matt, VK7MAT. Hello. We've got Ben, who's no longer in the peanut gallery. We've got Ken from ZL. Hello, Ken, and Happy New Year. Andrew from Kettering. We've got Darren. Hello, Darren, and Happy New Year. Up in Queensland, up in Mount Isa. And we've got Bronson. Hello. And we've got VK7DBX David. Good evening. Fantastic. And drop any comments in the chat, or if you've got any questions. Now, what else? Jim Tregellis, VK5JST, who is a very regular contributor and some fantastic projects. I always remember, and I have built a couple of his antenna analyzers, which seems an absolute eternity ago, now that we've got nano VNAs. But anyway, this is a digital dial for your boat anchor rig. And the interesting thing about this particular digital dial is it is direct sourcing from the RF. So it's actually listening to what the radio is putting out, doing some calculations and some scaling, etc., and then displaying that frequency on a digital dial. So back to basics, very simple. You can see Jim's come up with the PCB. Got a little pickaxe, I think, Knowing Jim, it's probably a pickaxe. No, it's just a pick. I think it's just a pick. So anyway, very simple and direct sampling. So whatever your transceiver's putting out, it's giving you the frequency. Now, changes underway for VHF UHF microwave contest. Well, this is a controversial column. Has got lots of comments from VK7 that have been fed back to the contest organiser. So I won't go on with too much more of that. Now, in the middle, right in the middle of the magazine, is the contest calendar. So VK4SN's VK and popular contest calendar. So as you can see, for each month there is at least 2 or 3 contests if you are so inclined to do all the way through to December. So and color coded for SSB, CW, digital, or all mode. So and the fact that it's in the middle of the magazine means you can lift it out. Now, CTCSS card, adding a CTCSS card to your Kenwood TR7400A, little ZL2PD CTCSS encoder board, available online, very easy to install, just have to get it in the right place in an FM chain, and this goes through how you install it and go through. Now, this is Peter Marks, VK3 TPM, writes a fantastic blog and some great articles, and talks all about FreeDV. So David Rowe, VK5 DGR, all about FreeDV, so digital voice mode that he has come up with. Absolutely fantastic mode. I first saw it at Gipstech back probably 6 or 8, maybe 10 years ago. And in fact, there are some videos from Gipstech on the Reast YouTube channel all about FreeDV, and David Rowe came along and gave us some presentations on FreeDV. That's what FreeDV looks like on the waterfall. So it is a chunk of data, and you can see the varying data going through it, but it's a chunk of data, and the doesn't actually need that much bandwidth to get a legible SSB type signal through. So there you go. Now, this is also worth a bit of a read. Dr. George Galanis, VK3 EIP. I actually emailed George and thanked him for this article, because it gets people thinking a little bit around EMR limits, and also how we are trained in EMR, or how we're not trained actually in EMR limits. So interesting article about this, and George has been to the ACMA a couple of times to try and get some answers, and puts an interesting op-ed, opposite editorial, that's what that means, comment around EMR limits, and the use of that then leads on to the use of high power. So and he actually references the video presentation that Phil Wade and myself did at Reast a little while ago in the middle of last year. So yeah. Now the Alara comment, the Alara column, and now here's, I talked about Carmel, VK2NO, who wrote the silent key message. There she is there, and Norma, VK2YL, who's the writer of the author of the Alara column, and it's an interesting one here. I'll just point out. This is we talked about Jim Tregellis's frequency counter. Now this is Shirley. So Shirley is Jim Tregellis's XYL, and Shirley is VK5YL, and she travelled to the Dandenong Ranges in VK3. This is the Ranger, Anthony Nibbs, to the Tregellis track. So interesting, very interesting indeed. Now, I think there's not that much more. Oh, of course there is. Oh, how could I miss this? Below 25 with Alec Cherry, VK2MV, and there's Alec there, at the AGM in Bendigo, actually. So this is the Yoda contest and youth on the air and under 25s. Here we've got scouts and guides enjoying Jamboree on the air and Jamboree on the internet. We've got Westnet, so VK6 news. Remembrance Day contest report, and I'll just point out here, there's a fantastic picture here of Nick, VK7WW, Whiskey, an RD contest stalwart, with his original valve equipment and military equipment. So a WS number 19 set, Mark III, which is what he used during the RD at CW, on CW. So there you go. And point out, VK7 won it again. And there was quite a few VK7s in the top 10. So there you go. Anyway, there you go. AR magazine. A good look at AR magazine, and it comes out every 2 months. The January-February one is being finalised, as far as I know, as we speak. So watch this space. Now, how are we going for time? Ooh, okay. Let's. How do we vote one for Justin? Oh well. When you, if you're a WIA member, you'll be sent an email at the beginning of February, I think. I think it's the beginning of February, and it will, that it is electronic voting, and you,
email. Check the dates.
I love it. Thanks, Kim. And sent out at the beginning of February, and it'll be electronic voting. If you need a postal vote, if you can't electronically vote, and you need a postal ballot, please let the WIA office know ASAP, because there is a cut-off for postal votes, and I think it's towards the end of January. So if you need a postal vote, please let the office know. And they will get one out to you. Otherwise, you can vote electronically. So, and that will be sent out at the beginning of February, and I think you've got until the end of February to vote. So, please, if you think I can do a reasonable job, there is, and what will be sent out with the email around voting is everybody's bio, so you can read up about why we're standing. What floats our boat, what our objectives are of becoming a board member, and all of that sort of stuff. So there you go. Now, I was handed a short while ago, and this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, because he'd vote for you. Oh, thank you, Bronson. I probably would. Vote one for Justin because he'd vote for you. Well, there you go. And a good politician. Now, a little while ago, I was handed a bunch of information and bits and pieces, which included a pile of QSL cards. Now, these QSL cards, and I'll show you. I'll show you these two. These were QSL cards for VK7ZAI, he was originally Dave Thorn, and then he became VK7MR. I think he kept those two call signs. Now, Dave Thorn, quite well known in Tasmania. He worked for, the PMG, the SMA, the various iterations of the SMA, the ACMA, and for a very long time. Was fantastic technically, built almost everything, great home brewer, and a real experimenter in the VHF and above area. So I was handed a bunch of his QSL cards. these are obviously his QSL cards that he would send out. I was handed a bunch of them, and I went through some of them last night, and these are ones of interest, of definite interest. So this is Dave Thorn, but the key thing here is we obviously had back in what's the date? There's no date on it. Okay, no, there isn't a date on it. Okay. Oh no, 1961. 1961. It's just there. So, Careers Exhibition Station of VK7 Whiskey India at the City Hall, and it was obviously they were operated with Dave Thorn on 2 meters, 5959, and it was Mike VK7ZAV. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that was Mike Jenner, I think. I'm not sure there. But anyway, Careers Station. But have a look on the back here. Tasmania for your next holiday. Oh, this is fantastic. That is absolutely off the show. Now, I've got another one of these. This is Winston Henry when he lived in New South Wales. 2 meters, so 2 meters to VK2, 1963, Mount Wellington. He was portable on Mount Wellington to Dave Thorn. Now, I also have another one of Winston's. Another one of Winston's here, so just hold that thought. VK9 ZBV. Now, have a look at this. This is fascinating because VK9 was Papua New Guinea. Papua. Port Moresby, Papua. And I've also got another one of these cards. Now, that was on 6 meters. So 4-element Yagi, 6 meters. It's an Edelstein with a crystal converter. I love it. Absolutely love it. But this Port Moresby, now that's changed. Now, I've got one from Darwin here, and it's on 6 meters. But one of the things was all homebrew equipment, 6 meters, 5.9, 120 watts, 5-element Yagi at 32 feet. To Darwin, including a photo of his station. And a thanks for the QSO on the back from Darwin. Now, a few other cards here. This may not mean much to our online viewers, but now VK7ZZ, Ian Nichols, he was a blind operator. He operated the ambulance radio service for a long, long time. And in fact, I've got a photo of him sitting at the ambulance radio. But VK7ZZ, Ian Nichols, blind operator, it actually says. So, absolutely fantastic. VK7ZAR, all typed up. The little communicator works very well, David. Hope to have one myself one day. Cheers, Ian. And he actually signed it. And that was on 2 meters, 5.9. Now, here's Winston. Here is Winston when he lived in Tasmania, and he's got sporting a new call sign. VK2 Whiskey Hotel, Winston Henry, Mount Nelson, and on 3.5 megs, so 80 meters. 6146 transmitter, 15 watts into a dipole. Absolutely fantastic. Now, Peter Frith, legend in his lunchbox. Actually, probably a very big lunchbox. Peter Frith, 2 meters from Launceston, Punchbowl Road, Launceston. Now Peter appears on the honour roll quite a bit, so special call sign. Another call sign that is very special because he was one of 2 patrons of the WIA, was Len Crooks, VK7BQ, and we've got a fantastic photo of him sitting in his shack with all this wonderful valve equipment sitting around him. Yeah, and again 2 meters on 2 meters. LZ Cole Wright, Knight Street, Launceston, again on 2 meters. Cole 73 Cole David, I love it. Lots of history here. VK7AL, so Tom Allen, Corula Road, Lindisfarne, so across the river. 144 megs AM, which it all would have been back in 1964. Everyone would have run AM. ZPD. Now this is Peter Dowd, so there you go. So Peter, again, this is 6 meters, 50 watt station, 5 element beam at 40 feet, down to Dave in 1967. So I would have been 1 year old. So there you go. ZWM, Winston Nichols. So this is up in Burnie, and again 144 megs AM, 12 watts. I love it. Portable on Round Hill. So probably a field day or something like that. Now here we go. Here's the territory of Papua New Guinea, VK9 AU, 6 meters, 20 watts or 15 watts, and a crystal converter. Love it. But VK9 was Papua. That's interesting. It's got a Papua Commonwealth Games Papua New Guinea stamp still on it. 5 cents, 5 shillings, 5 pence. Sorry, 5 pence. Whew. Now, last one. 6 meters to JA. This is 1960. 3 element, 15 meters high. First VK7, so I want your follow-up QSL card. 1960, April 24th, 1960, 2 meters. That would have been huge back in 1960. Please join the second Asian DX contest on August 26th and 27th. QSL Bureau, Tokyo, Japan. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. So there's some historic QSL cards thanks to Dave Thorn. VK7ZAI or VK7MR, and I'll go through the rest of them, and I might have some more for a future program. Now, okay, I have I gave you a hint at the beginning, complete with spider. I gave you a hint at the beginning. This is something that you would use almost daily, and it sits in your kitchen, and it is a high power, as in about a 900 watt cavity magnetron, which runs and supplies you with the energy, the RF energy for your microwave oven. So I thought I'd bring this in because not many people see what these actually are, because they're inside a metal box, thank goodness. They're inside a metal box, and that's a good thing because there's 900 watts of energy, or 1,000 watts of energy. Now, cavity magnetron. So this is the cavity that they're talking about. This cylinder in here, these are all cooling fins. They blow air through these because they get quite warm. But this cylinder contains a number of cavities which are all a particular size to give you the 2.45 gigahertz that they use for microwave ovens. Now, 2.45 gigahertz. Why do they use that frequency? Well, 2.45 gigahertz actually causes water molecules to start to move if they pump that sort of RF energy into them, and move very, very quickly to the point where the friction causes heat, and that is what heats your food. So if you put something that is absolutely perfectly dry in a microwave, it won't do a thing because it relies on the water molecules. So this is the cylinder. This is the cylinder that has all the little cavities in it. In the middle of that is a cathode. The cathode is like the filament. It is fed with 3.3 volts and a fair bit of current. And the electrons come off that cathode. They are, because of these magnets here and here at the end of this cylinder, it forces those electrons in a circular motion around the cavities and each of those cavities, and as it is circulating, it is gaining in power, and it's resonating because of the size of those physical size of those cavities at the 2.45 gigahertz that we need it at. The outside of this is the anode, so it is kept at high voltage. So all of this is isolated, and in one of those cavities there is a little stub that comes out into this tube here, and then out the end of here, out that hole there, into a waveguide and into the rest of the oven. And so this is what a cavity magnetron looks like, and it is a valve. It is a fairly specialised valve that is in every microwave oven that you'll find these days. It is an SM107A, so it's about a 900 watt tube, and runs at many thousands of volts. Many thousands of volts. So you want to be fairly careful when you're digging around in the back of the microwave. You need to know what you're doing. So anyway, so there is a tube that you may not realise is a valve, a very specialised valve, and it's one that you probably use pretty much every day, or maybe every other day, or whatever else when you need to heat up your food. Now, the next valve. This one's a bit special. And I only realised how special this was when I started digging around and trying to find information on it. This particular tube, and you'll notice there are cooling fins. They force air through this valve. But if you turn it over, you'll find why it's it's got a dent in the side of it, which is why it was probably ditched. You'll notice that the way that they connect to it, it's got a really special socket. There's a connection here. There's another ring here, 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 and here. This is a beam power amplifier tube. It is a tetrode, I think. That's a good point. It doesn't actually say. I think it's a tetrode because it's got the 4, or it could just be a triode. Anyway, I'll come up with that in a minute. What we're talking about is, from a power point of view, you can get about 1200 watts single sideband out of this tube. You're running So the filament's around about 5.5 volts. It's running at 17.3 amps. You're talking about the 2500 volts of anode voltage, so pretty reasonable anode voltage at around about 0.85 of an amp, so 850 milliamps at 2500 volts, which is scary. That would kill you if you got across it. Now, the reason I found this interesting was when I started looking up this number 4651, I was finding the specs on the valves each side of that number. So the 4650 and the 4649, and then the 4655 I think was the next one, and upwards. But I was not finding any on the 4651. Now, when I started digging, this is actually, the 4651 was a military tube. Was specifically made by Burle for military applications. And so that's why I wasn't finding any information on it, because I wasn't looking for military specs. I was looking for commercial specs. So anyway, but I just thought I'd show you this tube. It's about a 1200 watt tube. It has a phenomenal socket on it, a very expensive, I suspect, socket on it, because the socket has to go around this and enable the airflow to continue around the valve. And they would force an awful lot of air past this to keep it somewhere vaguely cool. I suspect that this is beryllium, and beryllium all around here. Now, beryllium is an insulating material, but it is also, if you get any beryllium dust is actually carcinogenic. And so you need to be reasonably careful if it ever gets chipped or anything like that. So that's very special. I think it's a tetrode. Oh, that's going to bother me now. That's going to absolutely bother me. Because it doesn't have a schematic. Oh, here we go. Radiator, plate, grid 1, grid 2. Yeah, it's a tetrode. And then the cathode terminal and the other heater terminal. So, anyway, there you go. Special high-powered tube. Now, the last one, the very last one. How are we going for time? 8:23. Oh, right on time. Now, I gave you a bit of a hint about this last time. This tube. Now we are in the microwave area. So we are talking about 7 gigs, so 7.1 to 7.4 gigs. This is a reflex klystron tube. So the other way of generating reasonably high power, but nothing like a magnetron, reasonably high power microwave signals is through a klystron. This is called a reflex klystron. It puts out about 40 odd milliwatts. And you'll notice if I flip it over, you've got a waveguide flange. So basically the waveguide bolts straight onto here. This gives you the view into the valve. There's a little window in there, little glass window in there. You've got your anode connection. It is a standard octal base. So it uses it's got a standard 6.3 volt filament, AC filament, about 0.44 amps, and you've got about 300 volts on the anode part of the valve. Now, I have to say, I don't think this valve has ever been used, because there is no scuff marks anywhere on the valve. This has never been bolted onto a waveguide. And so I don't think this has ever been used. I got this as part of a deceased estate. It was in the bottom of a box, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting looking thing. And then when I started looking it up, it's a it's a klystron, 7 gig klystron tube valve that generates 7 gigs. It is a military application, and you'll notice it's in military green. But anyway, microwave directly out of the waveguide, straight into the waveguide, and then out to the antenna or the dish or whatever they're using to direct that electromagnetic energy. So just a fascinating valve, and it's in my valve collection as a bit of a weird one. So there you go. Now, what have we got? Space weather report. Absolutely nothing. Although, if we take a look, let's take a look at the studio contents. Tropospheric ducting. So what does the Hepburn chart look like over the next few days? There are some promising VK7 to VK6. There are some path in there. There's a path in there. If we go forward, yeah, that's sort of developing over the Bight. There's off the New South Wales coast, across to New Zealand is certainly developing. There's a real hot spot off the New South Wales coast. And in fact, that is extending across to New Zealand, across the Tasman. Huge across here. That's really strong. So New South Wales is going to be, and what we're talking about here is tomorrow, January the 8th, across to New Zealand. You can see up here around Broome and where they've just had the cyclone up here, there's a real hot spot. There's usually a hot spot up there. Let's keep going. That dissipates. Still, there's some good activity. Queensland, New South Wales, across to New Zealand. That part of the Tasman and up into the Pacific. That's heading off into the Pacific. So, and we're back in the black. So absolutely nothing. And I think we'll be getting to the end of this sequence. So something across the Bight starting to reappear. And that's it. Okay, so Hepburn, there's certainly, keep your eye on 6 metres and above. Certainly something that might be happening there. Space weather. Now, training. Our first training session for 2026 is on the 21st of February. And it's a foundation training and assessment day. So if you're interested in participating in that, please get in contact with Reg, our learning organiser. Reast.assessor at gmail.com. And now, the January the 18th is our huge Carboot sale here in the Queen's Domain from 11 a.m. So after the broadcast, it's a Sunday. We'll have a barbecue up here. Everybody sets up their cars around the compound, and it costs you $10 to be a seller, and that's it. That's all it costs, and you can set up your Carboot and operate, and all the profit you get from that's yours. And then you can buy a snag and or a burger or whatever else when you get hungry. So there you go. Anyway, that's your blooming lot for this week. This has been VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. And with our first 2026 WEGs night. We've got WEGs nights all the way through January. So from here on in, all the way through until the first Wednesday in February, when we have Roger on interpretation of ionospheric data and tools. So anyway, we'll catch you next time. 73, have a great week. Stay cool if you're in a hot part of Australia. And we'll catch you next week. Cheers.